Please like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. Your feedback helps make the content better. When I got home that Tuesday, the house was quiet except for the tick of the kitchen clock and the soft chirp from her phone. Jenna sat at the table, angled toward the screen like it had better things to say than I did. I set my keys in the bowl and asked how her day went. No reaction. I tried again, louder. She flinched like I'd interrupted a sermon, glanced up, blinked through me, and muttered, "I'm wiped," then pushed back her chair and headed down the hall. No kiss, no hug, just the blue glow of her phone leading her to the bedroom like a lighthouse for someone else's ship. If I'd known where that little moment was headed, I would have taken a picture of the keys in the bowl. It was the last normal thing I put down in that house. I made dinner for one, cleaned up, and sat on the couch with a ball game I didn't watch. In the bedroom, the lamp clicked off. She hadn't asked how my day went. She always used to. I told myself she'd had a long shift. People have long shifts. Marriage isn't a report card. You don't get a gold star every night. I stayed up later than usual, scrolling headlines, pretending I wasn't waiting for her to come out for water and lean on me. She didn't. I gave it a night. Then I gave it a week. The pattern held. Minimal answers. Closed door. The phone was suddenly the third roommate that paid no rent and ate all the oxygen. On Sunday, I tried again. "Let's do brunch. Your spot. We haven't been in a while." "I'm meeting Whitney," she said, not looking up. "You can go with your guys." "I'm asking you." "Mark, I'm tired," she said, the way people shut off lamps. She wasn't tired. She was done. I'm not much for speeches. I like clean moves. That night, I moved to the guest room. Not an exile. Just a line on the floor I could look at and say, "That's mine." I stopped initiating anything that looked like chasing. I scaled back the favors that had become expectations. Late pickups, last-minute dinners, errands that start with "since you're already out." She noticed I wasn't orbiting. She didn't ask why. She didn't have to. We both knew. The first slap of real disrespect landed at a neighbor's cookout the following Saturday. It wasn't loud. It was efficient. "Where's your plus one?" Our neighbor Karen asked Jenna with a grin when we walked in. "You two still inseparable?" "Of course," Jenna smiled, then added, "Well, except when he's busy being a houseplant." A couple people laugh the way they do when the joke doesn't need to be funny, just pointed. I looked at her. She was checking her phone again. Thumb flicking. Attention elsewhere. "Houseplant." I raised an eyebrow. "It's a joke," she said, swiping. "Relax." Tom, my friend from the garage, drifted over with 2 sodas. "Hey man." "All good," I told him, not taking my eyes off Jenna. "One of us will photosynthesize." Karen's husband, Mike, cracked up and moved away like a man leaving a live wire. Jenna rolled her eyes and wandered toward the patio. Conversation flowed around us. Music, kids, the usual. In the middle of that softness, she kept grading me without speaking. She started doing little things in front of people, shrugging me off if I put a hand on her back, asking other men how to set up the grill as if I'd never lit one, saying Mark doesn't get it with a tone that did all the work. By dessert, I'd had enough. On our way out, she unlocked the car and climbed in. I stopped before closing my door. "What's the goal?" I asked. She pretended not to understand. "What?" "You've been turning the temperature down and acting like the thermostat's broken. If you've got a plan, say it. If you don't, stop rehearsing for strangers." "Drama," she said. "Maybe drink some water." "Here's water," I replied. "I'm not a prop you use to get applause. If you're bored, fix your schedule. If you think I'm slow, find a textbook. If you're done, we can be done." She stared through the windshield. "You finished?" "For now." I clicked my seatbelt. New rule. No more public digs. If you've got feedback, say it at home like an adult. "That's not a rule," she said. "That's you being sensitive." "It's a rule," I told her, calm as a speed limit sign. She drove in silence. At home, she went to bed without a word, but in the morning there were pancakes. Not our usual mess of scrambled eggs, not coffee poured in my travel mug while I laced my boots. Pancakes, stacked neatly like something from a diner. "I shouldn't have joked," she said without looking up. "People laugh at anything." "I noticed," I answered. "Thanks for breakfast." "We're fine," she added, dropping the line like it could do magic. "Don't make it bigger than it is." I cut into the pancakes and tasted a peace offering. Then I saw her phone buzz near the toaster. Unknown number, a little heart in the notification name. It could have been a friend. It could have been a group text. It just didn't feel like ours. Plans tonight? She asked, casual. Working late, I said. Don't wait up. I didn't work late. I drove to the riverfront, walked, called Tom. He listened. Want my guest room for a few nights? He asked. Not yet, I said. I'll try a conversation without a crowd. You sure? I don't bluff, Tom. If I say I'm leaving, I'll mean it. I want to be sure I mean it. 2 days later, we had another joke. Jenna had started an evening yoga class. Tuesday night, she left in shiny leggings and the kind of ponytail that makes strangers hold doors. 40 minutes after her class would have started, I got a text from Whitney. A picture of Jenna at a rooftop bar, city lights splashed across glass, her face turned toward a guy I didn't know. Not touching. Not technically anything you could indict. The caption said, "Saw your girl here. You guys out." It was either naive or surgical. When Jenna came in after 10, she tossed her bag on the chair like nothing. Good class? I asked. SOSO, she said. You cook? I ate. She headed down the hall, paused. You're sulking again. No, I said, standing. I'm deciding. She turned. About what? About whether we're fixing this as a team or calling it. I'm not living with contempt. Contempt, she echoed, almost amused. Big word. You want small words? Here. I stepped closer but kept my hands to myself. We either sit down with a calendar and build a plan, nights we're together, phones down, real conversations, or we split clean and wish each other luck. She didn't flinch. She smiled, humorless, like I'd offered to trade her a chair for a throne. You're not serious, she said. You're upset because I went out. I can go out. It's not the bar, I told her. It's the attitude. She tilted her head. You think you're hard to replace? The line was gentle, tossed like a feather that cut like glass. I can replace you in one evening. Don't think you're irreplaceable. There it was. No yelling. No drama. Just a sentence that turned the lights on. I nodded once. Good, I said. That makes this easier. I walked to the guest room, pulled my duffel from the closet, and started folding. Jeans, shirts, work boots, chargers. Whatever I didn't need would become someone else's problem. Jenna leaned in the doorway, arms crossed, like she was waiting for me to perform a second act where I begged and she forgave me. You're being ridiculous, she announced. Maybe, I said, but I don't live where I'm disrespected. You're angry. No, I corrected. I'm finished. She tried a softer version. You're overreacting. It was a joke. You made your point, I replied, zipping the bag. I heard it. You'll cool off, she said, but quieter now. We'll talk tomorrow. I don't repeat myself, I told her, lifting the duffel. You made your choice. This is mine. I left. Clean. No slammed doors. No speeches for the night. Tom's guest room took me in like a hotel with better honesty. On the way, I called the one person who needed to know, Luis, my shop foreman, and told him I'd be in early. I wanted the morning before anyone else to make calls. Everything okay? He asked. Better than okay. I woke at 5, hit the gym, showered at the shop, and by 8 I'd changed the passwords on the joint accounts and removed her user access to anything that had my name at the top. We didn't share debt, and the house was mine from before we married. I left the utilities on. I wasn't mean. I was precise. Around lunchtime, her messages started. Are you serious right now? I didn't respond. You left your mail. And your suit. You're being childish. Come back and we'll talk. Still nothing. At 3, put my card back on your account. I need to get groceries. At 4, a new angle. I'm your wife. How dare you pull money like that? Do you understand what a marriage is? I texted back once, short and surgical. Wife? Not anymore. Paperwork started. You can begin looking for my replacement if last night didn't make it clear. She wrote, LOL. Okay, you'll crawl back. I set the phone face down and finished my shift. That night, I bought pizza for the guys and said nothing. Tom didn't push. He just handed me a plate and changed the subject to baseball like a good friend who knows when silence is medicine. The next week, the silence moved to my phone. No messages from her. Fine by me. I slept like a human, not a watchdog. I went shooting hoops with Tom and Luis one night, grabbed wings with my cousin another, hit a trivia night with some folks from the gym. I wasn't trying to showcase my freedom. I was living it. On Friday, after 7 days of nothing, the thread lit up again. Rent is due. Transfer your half. Also the water bill. And send me cash for groceries. And I need gas. I looked at that sentence, your half, and almost laughed. The house was mine, the mortgage in my name. She wanted me to play along with a new reality where she ran the scoreboard and I kept paying for the court. No answer. The following day, you can be mad, but the bills don't wait. Be an adult. Move money. No answer. 2 days later, can we talk? I said some things I didn't mean. I was stressed. Work's been a nightmare. I put my phone back in my pocket and lined up another shot on the pool table. Tom glanced over. You good? Good, I said, knocking 2 balls into opposite corners. Just finishing something I started. Her tone shifted each day. Demands turned into requests. Requests into little apologies with sharp edges. I handled my side cleanly. I updated my HR forms so she wasn't on my benefits. I rerouted mail. I pulled the spare key from under the back deck the way you remove your last nostalgia and throw it into a drawer. I didn't post anything. I didn't talk to anyone who wasn't directly affected. I lived. Coffee from the shop, early shifts, late laughs. There was a Monday night softball game with guys from the parts warehouse. They invited me for one night. I kept showing up. It turns out being wanted isn't complicated. You just go where you're respected. Around week 3, Jenna tried the second illusion. She sent a long paragraph about how she missed our Sunday drives, how I used to bring her coffee when she studied, how she knew she'd gone cold because of burnout, how we both said things. It was a different energy. It smelled like memory lane and fresh paint. She even attached a photo, us at a pier last summer, me in a stupid hat she loved, her laughing into my shoulder. I allowed myself half a smile. The picture was good. The picture was also a souvenir. I put the phone away. I didn't type. The next day, she changed tactics again. If you don't help with the house, I'll have to rent a room. I can't carry everything. Please don't do this. I didn't answer. I did, however, schedule a time with a locksmith and a cleaning crew for the week the divorce would finalize. There's kindness in giving people a clean exit. Work was steady. I took a Saturday morning job swapping a transmission on an old truck. The owner, a retired firefighter named Dale, sat with me in the bay and told bad jokes while we worked. At lunch he eyed me. You look like a man who finally cut a finger that kept bleeding, he said. Something like that. Hurts less when you stop bumping it. He wasn't wrong. Week 4, her messages turned syrupy. I miss your voice. We were good once. I'm sorry about what I said. Can we meet at the diner and talk? I spent that Saturday at a barbecue at Luis's place. His wife, Mara, is the kind of person who runs an entire backyard like air traffic control. No one crashes, everyone gets fed. She teased me lightly about being late. I told her the truth. I'd stopped for flowers for my aunt and got into a conversation I didn't want to end. She smiled. That was it. No judgment. No scoreboard. Jenna's name kept pinging my phone face down on the picnic table. Mara noticed the buzz, then noticed me not noticing it. She raised an eyebrow. Flood warning? She asked. Old weather pattern, I replied. Got it, she said, and slid me a plate. Simple respect. Later she asked for help carrying coolers. We worked side by side, and I noticed the way she spoke. Direct, kind, zero games. That was the whole revelation. I hadn't been impossible to love, just unwilling to accept a warped version of it. On Sunday, Jenna sent a wall of text about her bad week, about a friend's drama, about the pressure she was under. At the end, please, just coffee. I'll explain. I want to fix it. I didn't correct her assumption that there was an it to fix. I kept my silence. She'd told me plainly what I was, replaceable in a night. I took her at her word and let the market work. The paperwork moved. I signed where I needed to. I hired a moving service to pack the few things I hadn't grabbed. Tools, my framed photos from the garage office, the cedar chest my grandmother left me. I set the date for the final pickup. I told the property manager of my new place I'd take the unit on the corner, quiet, lots of light, enough room for a man and a life. The final text blitz came on the last Thursday of the month. She threw everything at the wall. First anger. I can't believe you'd trash a marriage over pride. Then bargaining. If you put me back on the accounts for now, we can sort the rest later. Then presentation. I've been going to a therapist. I wrote down things I'll do differently. Then threat disguised as fact. You're making a mistake. You'll regret it. At the end, a softer line, almost a whisper. I loved you. I typed nothing. I kept it clean all the way to the end. I'd told her my rule: say it once, act after. This was the act. The divorce finalized the following week. No dramatics. Just signatures, a notary, a call from my attorney confirming what I already knew. She had no claim to the house or my accounts. I arranged for her to vacate by Friday at noon. I didn't show up. I didn't need a scene. I sent a short message the night before so there'd be no confusion. Keys on the kitchen counter by noon Friday. Personal items not taken will be boxed and stored for 30 days. After that, they'll be donated. Utilities switch Monday. Take care. She replied with one line: you'll regret this. I answered once: I don't do regret. I do respect. I spent Friday at work, then at the new place, assembling a dining table with Tom. It was one of those heavy tables you could keep for 20 years and never notice a scratch. He tightened a bolt and glanced up. You ever think about what you'll say if she shows up? He asked. Already did, I said. Same thing I told her in the house. He nodded. Good table, he said, changing the subject on purpose. Solid. Saturday morning, I drove by the old place with the locksmith. The driveway was empty. The keys waited on the counter, right where I'd asked. The house looked cleaner than it had in months. No candles, no new throw pillows, no careful staging. Just a space that had served its purpose. We swapped the locks. The cleaning crew arrived. I walked through each room and made a simple inventory. Then I stood in the doorway of the old bedroom and let the silence sit. Not mourning. Measuring. My phone buzzed. Not Jenna. Luis, game tonight? We need a hitter. I texted back, I'll bring the bats. Driving out of the neighborhood, I saw Karen on a morning walk. She lifted a hand. I pulled over. She approached with cautious curiosity. Hey, Mark. Everything okay? Her eyes said she already knew. Better than okay, I said. You'll see fewer cars in the driveway. She nodded, a little awkward. If you need a casserole or something, you know, neighbor type thing. I appreciate it, I said. We're good. That afternoon I met up with the guys, then grabbed coffee with Mara and Luis after the game. We sat outside the cafe while the evening cooled. On the sidewalk, life went by without tracking who owed whom an apology. Mara sipped and gave me a look that was both kind and blunt. You look lighter, she said. Because I am. She grinned. That's how it's supposed to be. A week later, I went to a friend's birthday at a small bar downtown. Nothing wild. Good music, good conversation. A woman stood by the jukebox, trying to fix a song cue that refused to behave. I offered help. She laughed, we sorted it out, and found ourselves talking for an hour about nothing and everything. Her name was Claire. She worked nights at a lab, had an old dog named Moose who slept like he had a union contract. She didn't try to impress me. She didn't test me. She asked questions and listened to the answers like they were worth her time. When the night ended, she handed me a napkin with her number. You seem like a guy who shows up when he says he will, she said. I am, I told her. And I don't say it twice. I didn't rush anything. I didn't have to. I had my routines back the way a man has a spine. Work, workouts, softball, quiet dinners, a few texts that didn't drain the battery in my head. On Sundays, I drove to the farmer's market and bought too many peaches. On Mondays, I brought donuts to the shop and nobody asked why, they just ate. I didn't see Jenna. Our circles separated the way oil and water do when you stop shaking the bottle. A friend of a friend mentioned she'd moved into a rental across town with a roommate from her class. Another mentioned she'd picked up more hours. People like to keep you updated as if you're still playing. I wasn't. I'd left the field. A month after the papers, I got one last text from her. It came on a Tuesday at 11:13 a.m., like a stray cloud in a bright sky. You really aren't going to meet? Even once. I read it, took a beat, and gave her the only courtesy left, clarity. No, we were done the night you said I was replaceable. I believed you. I left the stage so you could cast the next guy without delay. Spend your time well. She didn't respond. That silence was the cleanest parting gift we ever exchanged. You want the epilogue? Fine. It's not dramatic. It's the good kind of boring. I leave my truck in a spot with shade. I come home to a place where I want to sit at the table I built. There's a pair of running shoes by the door that aren't mine. I met Claire for coffee, then dinner, then a weekend hike. We're not sprinting. We're not performing. She has her life. I have mine. And when we overlap, it's because both of us want to, not because someone's keeping score. The guys still text me for softball. I still bring extra bats. Luis and Mara come by on Fridays, and Mara brings a salad that could make a preacher swear off barbecue. We laugh. We plan a fishing trip. We don't talk about the past unless it's funny. As for Jenna, I hear little things. She changed gyms. She's posting a lot. People tell me like they're passing on the weather. I nod and let it pass through. She had a plan and a throne in her mind. I stepped out of the room, and the throne turned into a chair. That's not my problem. The last time anyone asked me if I'd ever consider closure, I gave them the same answer I'd give you. Closure isn't a meeting in a diner with a speech. It's the last click of a deadbolt on a door that isn't yours anymore. It's the moment you stop auditioning for a part you never wanted. It's the discipline to speak once and let your actions carry the tune. Back at that neighbor's cookout, Jenna called me a houseplant. She wasn't entirely wrong. Plants turn toward the light. I did, and I haven't looked back.